Hey guys, this is Finn, and I'm here to teach you how to play Ascent at a high level. This video is going to focus mainly on how to call on attack side on Ascent, and how to abuse defense rotations by taking pieces of map control. That's basically just the video, and in order to understand how to actually bait out rotations, you have to understand how certain teams are going to play certain situations, and I'm going to start off with like a basic defense setup that you'll probably run into. You'll probably be running into this a lot of the time, right? Omen will one way, KO will sit here and be ready to knife. Omen will one way, he'll play anti-knife probably, walk in. KO will be here to knife just in case anybody burns any util and stop their hit. And in general, like most teams will start with KJ towards B main with the turret posted on B main in order to give an early piece of info, and they'll start off an alarm bot here and a Sova here shocking or darting off of the turret if he has an Odin, because it'll just give him a free kill and or free damage depending on his economy and different situations. And so in general, most of the time you're going to be running this simple default where you're going to be knifing a main, Omen is going to TP across, and Jet will probably be here to help in order to force off anybody that gets hit by the knife or breaks the knife. And the goal is to get a main in order to force them off and make them uneasy about what's going on the map by taking map control away, right? So a couple things get accomplished by this. You force them off. If you take a main successfully, you force them off, right? And they are forced to either move to cat in this type of situation, or they're forced to play on site and stack 3 here because they think that a hit is coming. The thing that happens at the other side of the map whenever you take a main control is usually the Sova or KJ will rotate to mid and make B a little bit weaker. So sometimes, depending on if the Sova has an Odin, he will probably sit back here and just dart, or he'll sit on here and just dart off the turret and spam with the Odin or Phantom. And usually he'll be shifted off though because he wants to play safe. He doesn't want to troll the round away, and he'll play retake and wait for his team. So by taking a main control, you force these people to move this way, and then you force gaps, right? So you'll force gaps at mid and B by taking a main control, by main defaulting, right? So understanding these gaps and understanding certain reactions will help you call the round after you take a main control. So the first step is taking a main control. And one of the other reasons taking a main control is good is because it has an orb there and you get to snowball ults. So either Sova or KO or Jet can get it, and I think those are the best agents to have it. I think KO is straight up the best one, and he's also the KO's ult is the best, and he's also one of the best agents at actually fighting for a main because of this knife and his flashes to support if they decide to fight for map control, right? So that's really important to note. And then understanding that once you take this map control, you get the rotations out, and it creates gaps. So the first step is taking a main control. Once you take a main control, taking a main control opens up options at B or mid. So taking a main control. So after you take a main control, you can leave one here, right? And then your Jet can shift into a mid default. Or instead of committing here, you guys can shift into a mid split. Because if you do this really fast, you can shift into a mid split, right? And you can dart here. You can have your Sova shock the alarm bot, or you just break the alarm bot, right? And then this should cause another issue, right? So once you guys are in this position, your Omen is like causing a little bit of a ruckus over here, maybe calling rotates. So once you break this alarm bot and you give them info that you're going mid, right? You take this away, then that causes some uneasiness in the defenders, right? The defenders at A are going to want to shift over here, and KJ's going to shift over here, and Sova's going to want to shift over here, right? So it'll shift the map back this way, but if they don't do it fast enough and you do it faster than they do, then there's going to be 2 people at B versus 4. And that's just like really easy to do after you take A main control. So you take A main, you go up mid, usually you're not going to have an omen smoke for spawn, right? So you're going to want to jet smoke and cross all at the same time, or you can flash back here and just do a simple B split, right? So you just do B split, maybe have Sova watch the runway. Since you told your omen that you're splitting B, your omen probably should be watching your Sova's flank, and then you end up in this situation where it's everybody on your team against this KJ and the Sova that's backside, and all you have to really worry about are the KJ mollies and the dart, right? Ideally, your KJ is taking off this turret because it also gives us info, but we'll talk about that later. That'll be like a B main default type thing, but that's like one option you can do, right? So another option you can do is instead of going through mid, right, and you just want to do something super simple, say you have Kale ult or something, and you know that they're playing retake B, pretty much. You just know that they shifted off because you took A main control and they thought you were taking A. Then what you can do is you can end up rotating everybody all the way from A main. Like, say you just took A main, right? Everybody rotates back to B. Everybody goes back to B, and you just do a simple B hit, right? You should have, maybe you've waited for omen smoke, right? You have smoke, you have the knife on the boat, and then a dart, and it's very hard. It's very hard for them to deal with this if Sova's playing backside, and then the only thing you have to worry about really is worry about the KJ mollies, and then which case you just end up just going out, and if you path correctly, you're not going to have to worry about them because your Jet and KO are like going over here, and you have a KO molly for here for spawn, and then your Jet closed the door because she dashed out, and these 2 people are just pathing lane late, or they're not even going up depending on the situation. And maybe the info you have, say there's no Sova back here, then you don't have to go back here, but until the site is clear, your teammates should be aiming to go in, and then your omen, your Sova should be like watching the smoke, and your KJ should either KJ or Sova are watching the smoke, and the other is pathing up and ready to trade your KO and Jet, right? That's just like a simple B hit that you can do. There's like a ton of different ways to hit B. This is just one that's simple that you can do, and it'll be easily implemented without that much teamwork. So once you take A main control, you have the B hit option and you have the mid B split option if you actually do this very fast, and you know that 3 people are on A. It's very important to note that you have to know that 3 people are on A in order to do these options, and you have to understand that they are also playing retake B. So the other default that you can do on this map is a B main default. And B main defaults are very good whenever you realize that they are just stacking A over and over again, right? And this KJ turret is very big for this. Sometimes your KJ can't actually get in and put the turret down, right? Because she's getting Odin spammed, or she's getting Sova shocked, or Sova darted Odin spammed off the turret, or they're double swinging off the turret, or the KJ's playing here and then she's swinging off the turret, and so is Sova. Like, it's very hard for her to do it alone, and you're running into 2 people mid, 2 people A, or 3 people A, 3 people mid. Like, if you're running into that situation, a lot of the time it's because you haven't forced anybody to watch B main because the turret has been there the entire time. And this is where a B main default is very good. And B main default can be something as simple as, you wait out the Sova Odin spam, right? usually it'll look like this, something like this, right? And you're gonna want to wait out the Sova Odin spam. And once you wait out the Sova Odin spam, what you can do is sometimes you can just dart super. You can dart to get him off the angle, right, and spam him. Say if you have good econ, you can spam him, and or force him off. It just makes it annoying because he has to look up to break the dart if he doesn't want to die, and then you guys can go up and break the turret with like one or two people, and then you instantly shift off this because once you've taken this piece of map control, you get sometimes an orb depending on whether or not you're gonna get spammed grabbing it, or you. Or the other thing, the main thing is that you get B main control, and B main control forces almost always two people to stay here or stay near B, and that opens up options at, you guessed it, A or cat, right? Because this jet is gonna want to do something, right? She's gonna want to go shift over to mid or B to help her teammate, or KO might want to shift over to mid or B depending on what's going on. One of these people at A is going to want to shift over to help these people. So that means it opens up a gap over here, right? It opens up a gap here because this person left. This jet left over here to rotate. And this makes your job a lot easier if you want to hit A, because you don't have to, they have to worry about way more angles. You don't have to worry about as many people because you know that jet rotated over. And if you just take B main, right, you wait for them to react. Usually you have your KJ like, kind of jump spotting around. Maybe you have your jet opping the line, right, and holding a rotate off. You leave her or KJ here, and they're just posted up waiting for this person to either shift off for info or break the Sova dart or whatever. And they just never know if you're in B main with 3, 4, or 1 person. So this allows your Sova and Jet to actually go over and help your KO and Omen that were doing the same thing that they were doing before, but it just cuts off a lot of information from the team, from the defenders, because they don't know what is going on if you're doing that combined with doing B main if they're not contesting A main control. Keep in mind that you have to do that whenever they're not really contesting A main control, because KO and Omen can do this pretty much by themselves because Omen can get out and KO has a knife. So it's pretty hard for either of these people to get punished as long as you're fast. And then, like, if you take B main control from them and you break that turret that's usually there, giving them info, then that just opens up a free round, honestly. Like, most of the time, it'll give you, like, a free side at A if you just immediately go from taking B main control with 3 into hitting A. There's only 2 people here. It's very hard for them to deal with it if they use their util poorly, right? And then their jet is all the way in Narnia, and yeah. So like those are two. Another option instead of just going straight to A is you can shift into a mid split, right, where you smoke here. Your jet goes to tiles from B main, or your jet goes for tiles from B main with Sova. And you just go up here. You have your Kale also shift into this, right? And he ends up knifing over here and smoking like this. And you smoke like this, right? Then these people have to worry about these 2 angles, right? These defenders at A, they're forced to get off or back up onto site and have less angles to play, and that means that you have less things to worry about. If your KO knives here and then he flashes here, then you have all this map control, and you only have to worry about one thing, right? So your jet will dash here, your KO will follow usually, and then your Sova is usually going to be watching, and your KJ is going to shift to watch your flank, and she's not going to be directly peeking it, but she's going to be holding for anybody that is flanking mid, and the rest of your team is hitting like this, right? And you have an Omen bind and whatever else. But this is more of like a general overall picture thing and things to worry about. So B main control opens up gaps at cat and A main. So start taking B main usually takes a couple people because it's very high commitment because of the Odin spam and Sova Dart util, and you usually need a couple people. So as long as you're doing that and you're forcing two people to stay at B and sometimes shifting over rotate towards B, it is incredibly helpful if you want to end a late round. And then if you understand that they're playing, so understand that once you've done these things, then you're conditioning certain things. So you can do the same util, right? I'll just give you an example. You can do the same util. You broke the dart, and then instead of leaving, so you broke the dart, right? You broke the turret over here. You broke the dart, the initial dart from. You broke the turret. You broke the initial dart from Sova, and instead of like you say you've left to hit A every time you've done this, instead of leaving, you can end up just straight up hitting the site because they're used to you just leaving the B main after you default it or after you take it and break the turret, and you can just straight up hit and abuse the fact that nobody's going to be here, right? Because it's just going to be like, well, last time they just went straight to A, and I'm just going to stay here because I think they're going to come back, right? And then you can start playing these mind games with the other team where they just don't know what you're doing if you're calling correctly. So that's why it's important to actually play these. Like you can use these two defaults to just abuse the enemy team, and these simple defaults will pretty much like they'll get you through a pretty good amount of tournaments just running these things if you run them correctly. So making sure that you understand that taking away map control from the other team and defaulting in a safe way will bait out rotations to open up gaps at the other side of the map, and understand that like people will play. You can end up playing mind games with them because they're going to play for what you've been doing. So this gives you 4, 5, 6 options just off of those two defaults that I showed you, and you can abuse a team a lot by doing these two defaults. But yeah, that's it for the video. I want to keep this short and see how it does. And let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you'd like more in-depth video about how to do these things, like lineups or whatever. And yeah, have a good day.